All right, so third time's a charm. We're going to do some Evennia coding, and we're going to be working on an equipment handler. Evennia is an open source mud engine using Python, and you can find it at evennia.com or on the Evennia GitHub. It's let me bring up the site here. That'll be pretty useful. So here's the Evennia GitHub for anybody that's watching this. That's how you spell it, Evennia. All right, so we're working on this project, and I did a bunch of stuff in a previously failed video that isn't really important anyways. What I'm trying to do right now is just test to see if my object creating, the creation of my object is actually adding my equipment slots properly. So right now, I'm supposed to be using unit testing, but for some reason, it's telling me that it's not a dictionary when I try to get the attribute from the character. And the print statement wasn't working in the unit testing to the server log, so I gave up on that. And now I'm just creating a custom command where I just make the object, and then I'm gonna print. So right now I'm just gonna grab the character.attributes.get equipment, and then we're gonna print that. And then, do you remember how to destroy an object in Evennia?
No, not really. I don't think I ever really learned that yet.
This is so stupidly simple. I can't believe that I'm just slipping on this. I think, I guess I'll just have to check here. Destroy, maybe? But character delete. This should say some here. Yeah, I think it's just dot delete. Okay, I think that's what it is. I couldn't remember if it's destroy or delete. So we're gonna go back in here. We're just going to char dot delete, and we're just gonna get rid of it after we print it. Do a little cleanup. I think that should work. I hope it does. Okay. I'm gonna save that. And then I'm going to bring up my server. And we're gonna test that. And now, didn't really do anything in the game, but I'm gonna check my log. This print statement should be in the server log. It printed that part. But it did not print the equipment dictionary. So if we go back into here, let's see if we can just turn this into a string. Maybe I've always gotten raw output for that. If I print a dictionary, it just prints the raw dictionary. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's just not if the character exists, then we're gonna print character was created, just to make sure that the character was created. And then I think the problem is that the equipment just isn't being created properly. But we're gonna find out. Oh, I didn't reload. Okay, that might be it. Forgot to reload the server. Uh-oh. I forgot to use this as a string. Whoopsie. Okay, so gonna fix that real quick, and then we're gonna reload and try again. Currently disabled. Now I'll just check my log. The character was created, it printed the dictionary, and the dictionary looks like a dictionary to me. So the equipment is being properly generated on new characters. That much I can say. As far as why the unit testing has failed me, I'm uncertain, because this is obviously a dictionary, and then the equipment that I get off of the character should be a dictionary, and then we need to assert if the dictionaries are equal. But the error that it's giving me is that let's see, when I try to run this Evennia test, this shows up as actual dictionary. Second argument is not an instance of class dictionary. It's not a dictionary. But clearly it is. I don't know what to do with this. I think I'm just going to move on. Just skip this part for now and not worry about unit testing. I'll write the unit testing later. Might not be such a great idea that I'm doing this stream when I haven't actually done any coding in Evennia in quite a while. Right, Legion?
I mean, yeah, probably. I mean, I'm learning stuff though, so it's good for me being new to it all.
You're not learning anything from me right now when I'm so lost myself. The last stream that I did, I was actually, or the last video that I made, I had actually been doing some coding for at least a few days, got myself back into it, and I was in the mode, like I was already in the flow of things, so it was a lot easier. And even that took a lot of time and effort to get through it.
Is that the inventory video?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that was good. I really liked that.
but with this, I'm stumbling a bit because I'm behind. As in, I haven't done anything in a while, so my mentality isn't. It's not fluid as far as this goes. I don't know why this test is not working and it's really bothering me. But I think we're just going to close that out. Save it, whatever. Probably get rid of all of this stuff right here. Save the command. Okay, so here in the character class, under @object creation is where I call the generate equipment method. And this is from the equipment handler. Up here is where I have the lazy property, and this is just like a shortcut for me to call equipment handler by just saying equip. And then anything that is a method on the equipment handler, such as generate equipment, can be called just by using equip dot whatever the method is. And so this is where I generate my equipment during at object creation for any character, which includes anything here that inherits from character, which would be player character, out of character, which would be like the account character, and the NPC. So all of them should generate new equipment with a basic bag. Somebody sent me a message. Okay. So, are you able to hear me on the stream? By the way, I doubt you're listening to the stream with audio because then you'll hear me twice. But
Yeah, I can hear you twice.
okay, well, you can just mute the stream because you can hear me in real time. There's no reason for the stream to be unmuted.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I just unmuted it to see if you're coming
Okay.
through.
Okay, thank you. And then let's see. All right. So what I was doing was I was on my equipment wiki handler here. I got this going. An example is that I want to add and remove equipment. So I think now that I've got that generation working, where the slots are created, and I even have a little bit of an example here of where I create an object and actually assign it to an equipment slot under the bag. I think one of the other things I was doing was working on making sure that the inventory container has inventory slots. So in my game, containers will inherit from base object, and then they'll inherit from, and then the container will be anything that's like anything that can hold other objects. If it does not have this type class, if it's not of this type class, then it cannot contain objects unless well, at least for players to put objects in and out. As far as code goes, anything is a container in Evennia, and I can still continue to use it as such. But the point is to put these categories in place so that way I can write logic to restrict players from what they can put things in and take things out of. So a container would be anything like an urn, or maybe even a bag or a crate or a chest or anything of that sort. But not all containers would be equipable as a inventory container for the character to use for inventory slots, because that would make sense. Why would you equip a giant metal chest to your back to carry your stuff, right?
Okay,
And so I wanted to create another child class specifically called inventory container. And only objects that inherit from this class will have inventory slots on it. And so the inventory, the items in my game won't have any kind of weight. Instead, players will be restricted by how many items they can carry based on their inventory slots. I need to change this as well, I think. Inventory container. Okay. So one of the other things I wanted to do was under objects. This is where I have the equipment bag. I didn't change this. And I added a tag. It's the same thing really as being able to check the class. It's just another added thing that helps me categorize that this is an inventory container, and it's a bit redundant. I might not even use it. It might be pointless to add this tag. The other thing is that I had wanted to add prototypes, and the prototypes will generate um, generate the inventory bags. So it'll be like bags, sacks, satchels, stuff like that. And then let me see where I was, because I might have already started to put some stuff in the prototype section. I remember where it is. Around here somewhere. There it is. No, I didn't put anything in the prototypes yet. So this is just a dictionary that I'm creating for the inventory container, and we want to make the prototype key. I guess we'll make it that. I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. And then I don't remember a lot about what I'm doing in regards to prototypes. But I know that any prototype that inherits from inventory container, I want the type class to be type classes dot objects dot inventory container. And I don't remember if I specifically have to provide a key or not. Oh, Jesus Christ, my friend spammed me with 6 messages. Can't read all that right now.
All the examples have keys.
Yeah, I think they might have to. Even if I'm not, because this is really a mixin, which means that it doesn't have all. It's not like actually gonna generate something. No, I didn't want to go there. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the Evennia wiki. Spawner and prototypes. A lot of the stuff at the very beginning of this prototype documentation is all about using the in-game prototype stuff. So we want to do module based prototypes. These are defined as dictionaries. If the prototypes you supply are using a prototype parent keyword, which would be the prototype key, I guess, inventory container. Here we go. Same as when using spawn, when spawning from a one-time prototype dictionary like this, you could skip otherwise required keys, like prototype key or type class or prototype parent. Defaults will be used. So let's just set some key, even if we're not going to use it. I don't know. We'll just why not? We'll just do that. So let's see, what we want to do is make a bag. Just start that as the first object. We could do things like bags, satchels, sacks, backpacks. Those would be like the different items we can use for our inventory stuff. And prototype parent, I think we use maybe this, or maybe I have to use the big blue text. I don't remember. Let me see. Prototype parent, if given, this should be the prototype key, okay, which I put up there, of another prototype stored in the system or available in a module. Make this prototype inherit the keys from parent and only override what is needed. Give a tuple for multiple left-right inheritance. If this is not given, a type class should be defined below. Okay, so I don't need to define the type class because it's already from the parent inventory container. And in here we just the key will actually equal some kind of function, generate random bag key, something like that. And then just close off this dictionary real quick. We'll just create a new function down here to generate a random bag key. I don't know if I want to pass anything to it yet, so I'm not going to worry about that. And what I want to do is just decide the factors. So we need a color, and we'll just make that a list of red, blue, green, yellow, black. This should be fine, whatever. And then we would need a description of it, which would be like an adjective. Is that correct, Legion?
Yeah, an adjective would work. It's like a big bag, a little bag, something like that.
Well, I was thinking more like tattered, worn, pristine.
You're gonna have like CS:GO skins.
Adjective, so we're like tattered, worn, pristine. Let's see. Well crafted, I guess, you know. All of these need to be strings, by the way. Whoopsies. And maybe frayed. For some reason, I can only think of things that make it look, worn or whatever. Whatever, that's good enough. That's just example stuff. And let's see. We need I don't know if I want to describe the size yet, so we're just gonna leave that out for it now. And so the end goal is to have a tattered red bag or a pristine yellow bag. So bag key equals, we want to do an F string here, A, and then here we want to get a random color. Random dot, or it's probably color dot random choice, if I remember correctly. It's just going randomly by memory here. So we want to do the descriptor first, the adjective. So I'm going to do might actually have to import random. I'm pretty sure that I do. And then the color and then bag. And there we go. So now we have our bag key and we can return the bag key. And then here, that'll be the bag. So it'll just generate a random bag based on these possible attributes. This will be our starting bag or something like that, I guess. And up here, we need to import random. And then down here.
School says that its choice returns a random element from the given sequence.
Okay. Are you just saying that you learned what it means, or?
No. Like, I think it's random, or it's. Here, I'll send it to you.
Thank you. I might have written it wrong. I probably need to write random choice and then put the yeah, I need to put the list inside. Okay, random dot choice. Thank you. I had that all wrong. This is what happens when you don't do this stuff very often anymore, but as you go along, if you just continue doing this stuff instead of being lazy, then you actually remember all of this. But when you take a month off, you can see how clunky I am. How terrible I'm doing. Okay, so we should have a key there. Inventory bag. And we already know the type class. And okay. So we're going to save these prototypes. We've now created our random bag with a different color and different description. This should work. Wait, it's throwing an error here. Invalid syntax. What did I do wrong?
A comma, or yeah, on the line above it, the comma.
Oh. Yeah, kind of. I was like, wait, no, this line doesn't have a comma because it's the last line, but yeah, I totally forgot about the line above. And that's coding, ladies and gentlemen, forgetting a comma. It's pretty simple. So now what we want to do is go back to the equipment handler. And let me see. Just want to look at the prototype documentation real quick to remember how to spawn stuff. Actually, instead of going back to the Evennia stuff, I know that I spawn in the spawn handler from the prototype, I believe. And then we just, okay. So we just create spawn and we just use the prototype key, I think. Rat. Go back to prototypes and see. So I think spawn is just asking for this name here. Or is it the prototype key? Whoopsies. I don't remember. I don't think it's the dictionary name that it's asking for when you spawn. I think it's... Actually, I just read right here on the GitHub. Prototype key, the name of the prototype. While this can sometimes be skipped, such as when defining a prototype in a module or feeding a prototype dictionary manually to the spawner function. It's good practice to try to include it as used for bookkeeping and storing of the prototype so you can find it later. Let's just try to let's just try it without it. So what I want to do here is just instead of creating an object, I'm just going to spawn an object, save that, and now it doesn't know what to do with spawn. I need to inherit it or import it from prototypes.spawner. Save that again. Now it knows how to spawn it. But I don't... I'm gonna just double check down at the bottom here, see if I can... If the prototypes you supply are using... Yeah, I don't know. The documentation on how to actually use the spawn command from code is pretty lacking. It tells you how to pass a manual dictionary into it, and it tells you how to just spawn every prototype, apparently, which is really annoying. It doesn't give you an example of how to spawn a prototype specifically from a direct prototype piece of information, or exactly how the inheritance of prototypes work within here. Most of this documentation is about the in-game menu of how to use that. Lambda. Let's see. Oh well, whatever. We're just going to leave this the way it is, and then we're going to... I'm going to take a look at the commands again. Might just want to undo deleting this. I'm going to see if it's going to print my equipment again. And then maybe I want to see if it'll print the name of the bag so we can see that. I think I called it bag. Let me just go Double check on here. Yeah, it's just bag. Or something like that. Let's just print this. Let's see what happens. So I'm just gonna reload the server. And that didn't work. You look here, I tried to reload the server and it gave me an error. At least it looks like it accessed the prototypes.
It did, yeah.
Error name generate random bag key is not defined.
Maybe
Okay,
make key a variable and then call generate random bag key as the variable. Or would that just do nothing?
I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't tried to put functions into the spawner and or the prototypes. And like I said, the documentation on prototypes is just doesn't really cover that. It doesn't cover the stuff that I need to do with code. It says if I'm doing it from in-game, I need to use Lambda, which is a way to kind of execute something like a function or whatever. It's like a miniature function, I guess. It's like a temporary function. I'm not entirely certain, but yeah, it's not. Let me go back to Visual Studio Code. So in here, import spawn inventory bag. It got there. I can remove that. I don't need that. Prototypes. It looks like it got into the inventory bag. So right here is where it failed. The key as maybe I just can't call a function as a as a dictionary value. It doesn't seem like a good idea. Okay, so let's not do that. Let's um maybe just right before. No, it still has to be within this dictionary, doesn't it? Ugh, this is annoying.
I don't know about that now.
It should tell me up here as an example. Goblin. Yeah, it does say lambda. You have to do lambda, I suppose, and then rand int. I think what I'll do is just I'll do this. I'll try lambda, which don't ask me exactly how lambda works because I have no clue.
Yeah, just do choice instead of random int.
I'll do this. I think what it does is lambda goes and executes this function, then it returns the value, and then it assigns the value to lambda. So it's almost like declaring a variable called lambda and assigning it the bag key here, and then using the lambda variable as the key value in this dictionary.
That's what I was trying to suggest. I don't know how to talk apparently.
Well, I feel really, really stupid right now, so you're not alone.
Hey,
So I think this should work. If I go back up again, it just has rand int. This is where he runs a function. Thank God he at least gave some kind of example here in the actual module itself. So let's save this, and we're going to try to run a reload again. Evennia reload. And this time it reloaded successfully. That's a good sign. Let's bring up Mudlet, and we're going to do the testy command again. And unfortunately, I don't have my Notepad++ to show you the server log, but it does say a frayed yellow bag. I'll just copy and I will paste this just to give an example. This is the outcome I had in my server log. So it printed, and oh, look at that. Bag even showed up as a list, which is a frayed yellow bag. Don't know why. Why did it show up as a list? That's a good question. In any case, it showed up as a frayed yellow bag. So let me run the command again. Check my log. This time it showed up as a pristine red bag. Hooray! So we got something working, which is that we got the random name of the bag. I'd like to know why it's showing up as a list. Let me see. This here should be returning just a string. Yeah, it even says right there. If I hover over it, it says str string. So that's not a list. And this isn't a list, so this just assigns it in the equipment handler. Maybe the spawn command makes it a list. Let me just double check my test command. Somewhere along the line. Okay, well, it was printing the dictionary, and even within the dictionary itself, it was showing up as a list, which is not good because I needed to show up as an object, just a single object. I think what I want to do here is just print and just give myself, I want to see what it spawns as a raw thing here. And I close that off. And now I just want to go ahead and reload my server. Check my log again. Okay, it says this is the basic bag spawned object within equipment handler, a worn blue bag, and it shows up as a list there as well. So it looks like the spawn command within code actually returns a list. That's where I'm getting the list from. And what I want to do is check Evennia documentation here and see if he even explains that it spawns as a list. It's just one item. Spawn a number of prototyped objects. Returns object, dictionary, or list. Spawned objects will only, if only validate is giving return a list of the creation keywords, keyword arguments to build the objects without creating it. If return parents is set, instead return dictionary of prototype parents. I just want a single object, so I don't know why it's returning list. We're going to go directly to the source code, and we're going to see, and that number is way off. Should be linking down further or way up. Where's the spawn command? Well, guess we'll just have to do it this way. You know what? Let's do... There we go. Define spawn. That'll give us the goods. So this doesn't explain this. Let's just look down here. So the input that we give that I was asking earlier is searching the prototypes. Get available parents. Only validate, if not keywords.get. Okay, if that's not... Return parents, I don't need that. This just looks like he loaded it with a lot of stuff because you can actually just use the spawn command and pass information into it. So it's also creating a prototype as well as just looking for the module. That's why all this extra garbage is in here. Might be nice if it was actually just separate things. Batch create object. This is apparently what it returns. And then it tells us where it is. We click on it. Open that in a new tab. Can actually get rid of all this unit testing stuff, I think. Well, no, I want to get rid of... I want to keep this Python one. Okay. This is a cut down version of the create object function optimized for speed. It does not check and convert various inputs, so make sure the spawn type class works before using this. And it returns objects of list. So it looks like spawn always returns a list. Based on the batch create object. And if we want to look up here, kind of curious what this is. Find prototypes based on key or tags or all prototypes. Exact or partial key to query it for. All available prototypes will be turned if neither key nor tags were given. But yeah, anyways, let's go back to here. So what I want to do is if I don't want a list to be returned from spawn, then I just need to manually fix that myself. And to do that, we will do if basic bag, because first we just want to check that it exists. And we just want to do, we know it's always going to be a list, so we'll just basic bag equals basic bag 0. So whatever's first in there, and then I'll just pull it from, I could probably use pop. I don't really use things properly that I should or whatever, but if it were to return more than one item, and in this case we don't need more than one item, we're just looking for whatever the first item is. And now I save this and I reload the game. Check my server log. And I'll paste this into the Visual Studio Code again. Stuck this way down at the bottom, so I'll, right over top of this. This is the result that I got this time. Print statement should be in the server log. Yeah, we know that. Okay. Basic bag spawned object with an equipment handler, a well-crafted red bag. No list. Character was created. Here's the dictionary. The dictionary holds the object reference, which is a well-crafted red bag. And here's the object printed itself, taken directly from the dictionary. Success. So at this point we have a, well, we can start getting rid of some of these print statements here. And of course there's no print statements here, so where was the other stuff? Just here in the test command. So we have a randomly generated bag that we can spawn and add to the character's equipment when it first starts. I think that's all I'm going to cover for now. I think there's a some catching up I need to do with my plan of where I was going to go next. I know that I want to add a command that allows you to equip an item, and when you use that, it'll take the object and assign it to the dictionary value under the character's equipment. And then when you might as well just do that now. Why not?
Sure.
So we're just going to stuff this command under here like I do with everything. Might actually put it up here with inventory and equip. Oh, well. It'd be useful if I actually used the equip thing. Okay, so Actually, I'm going to put just down here so I know where it is. Class, command, unequip. We're just going to pass on that for now. And in here, we want... we just want to parse the argument that's passed. And what we want the player to type is actually just, let's see, equip object. And I just want to, let's see, I'm going to scroll down and just use some of the parsing that I have here. I definitely want to strip the arguments. That's for certain. Of any white space. Just use that as well. And we definitely want to jump out of here if there is no arguments. There are no arguments. Ah, crap. There's another way to jump out of the parsing section. I don't use it enough in here, but and I kind of forget what it is. Drop. Get. Pick from. Okay. Interrupt command. That's what I wanted to do. So if we're exiting out of a command within the parse function, instead of returning, we want to raise interrupt command, and that will prevent the actual function from running. So say that we define down here this will prevent stuff from running under function if we use this. Whereas return, I guess, I mean, it exits the command, but it's not considered safe. At least not as safe as interrupt command, because it still may actually try to execute the stuff on the function if you return from a parse. So we're just going to use this because it's the proper thing to do. And once we have the argument of whatever object they're offering, we're going to strip that down. And then under the function, actually need to set this as self.args again. Some of this stuff needs to be repeated. I don't think I need... Yeah, I do. Okay, so now we have our character and the object that they want. So we need to do a search. Oh, that's not a good thing to use. And I don't remember how to do searches, so we're just going to reference some of the other code and it'll tell us color that search, the item that we want, the location, and quiet. Okay, so you're going to use color.search. We're going to change this to item just for fun. And then the location of the object, I don't think it matters. It's just going to search the character itself and the ground as well. At some point, we need to determine if the object is on the ground to actually show the character picking it up and then equipping it. That would be good, but for right now, we're just going to ghost it straight into the equipment from the ground if it's on the ground. Arguments and then quiet equals true. And that should give us the item. If item, then we'll execute this code. Oh, here's an interesting thing. At this point, we need to determine where it's going to equip it to. Because now we have an item, but it could be a helmet, could be a chest piece, could be, you know, a ring. So this is where we want to check all of that information. I think, let's just test it out with a chest piece first. So is equal to chest. Oh no, wait. Here we go. This is what I need to do. Dot has chest. So if the item has the tag chest, then we will equip it to the chest slot. Something else we need to do here is actually grab the equipment inventory, or the equipment dictionary, I mean. Color dot attributes. First we need to check if they even have it. They should have it, but it's always good to check. I think I want to declare this up here just as an empty dictionary for now. Just in case. So now we have the equipment dictionary. And we can assign the item to the chest slot. Let me double check the equipment handler to make sure. Okay, I did just name it chest. Another thing that we need to do that I haven't got to yet is actually create the chest object. So I have shields object. Might just do I don't think that I need the parent class to chest. And on object creation, we'll just add our tag of chest. Maybe make it category equals equipment. Okay. So if we have any chest object that we create in the game, we'll use this type class when we create it, and it'll make it this type class and add the tag. And then in the chest dictionary, we need to equip it to there. I think the first thing that we want to do though is check to see if the chest inventory is already if it's already occupied. So we want to get whatever's in there equals dictionary get chest. The chest slot is empty, so if it's equal to none, then we will make dictionary chest. We want to assign this value of chest. So we can put the item, or no, this, voila. So now that dictionary slot should be the item itself. And then we need to put an else statement here, because if it is not none, then we need to caller.message you must unequip your current chest piece first before equipping new one. This is probably just temporary. I could write something better than this, but for now this is a good error message. And then we return. I could probably also change it so that way if they attempt to equip something to a slot that is already occupied, it'll remove whatever's currently equipped to that slot and then equip the new thing. It's a little bit more complicated, and for testing purposes, it might be better just to do this way. But it's also very useful to think, okay, well, if I'm the player, I don't want to have to do an extra command of unequip my current chess piece and then equip the new chess piece. Instead, the game could just do all that work for me. That cuts down on one command that I don't have to enter. Whereas I wish a lot more games would think that way, where it's just predicting what you want to do. But I see that kind of behavior happening where it just returns this kind of error, and then you have to go and do another command instead. So I think that let's see. So this is what we want to do first before we start checking the item for tags and doing the equipment slots and such as that. We actually want to check to make sure that the item gets put into the inventory, because when a player equips an item, it counts as part of their total inventory. I think that's just the best way to do it, to avoid any kind of conflict of them unequipping or equipping stuff and not having enough inventory slots and just returning weird errors, and then they have to go manage their inventory. Instead, to make sure that they always have enough room for that item in their inventory, if they unequip it, we'll just force it to take a slot out of their inventory. And at some point, inventory slots don't really even become an issue for the player once they get good enough containers. So I think what I want to check first is so the caller dot location will be the room that the player's in. And if the item location is the same as the player's location, that means that the item is currently on the floor in the room. And then we want to do something here. And then else if item dot location is equal to caller, whoops, which means it's either currently in the hands of the player, which I don't have the hand set up with the inventory as well, which I might want to, because technically objects in the player's hands are stored in the inventory, and then I just kind of make it seem like it's just in the hands. And again, the same with the equipment. It might behoove me to make sure that the player's hands have enough room in the inventory to store the item that they're manipulating. This way, if a player picks something up, it'll have a slot in the inventory for them to store it. That doesn't really make sense. Because think about it, because then they could just pick things up infinitely, obviously. Yeah. But I think... I think I'm just going to have to make a check to see if it's in the hands. And... oh, that's not an and sign. Don't I have to do two? I'll just write and. I can even write that. If the item dot location is on the caller and caller dot, I'm just gonna have to grab whatever in their hands right now. That's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm just gonna go down here a little bit and this should return two values, left hand and right hand, which I've been meaning to change all these hand stuff to offhand, main hand. So that way there's no players could choose if they're right-handed or left-handed without it affecting how things work in the code themselves, and I can just make everything offhand, main hand. And I never got around to that. Okay, so somewhere up here we should probably just assign this here. And then I just want to create a new list. This way I can ask and not in hands. Voila. So this means that it's in their inventory and not currently in their hands. This is why I didn't want to get into this right now. It's because I knew how much more effort you think that you're going to go into something like this and just write a simple thing where it just equips it, it just assigns it to the slot that you want, but then you start remembering all these conditions that have to take place in order for it to get to that point, and then you end up with all this. Where did I? Maybe I just hit that by accident. Okay, so it's 3 conditions. I need to move this down so I can. Three conditions here. If it's on the ground, then I need to bring it into the inventory. Somewhere in here, I need to check how many inventory slots I have free, which I don't even think is. I don't even have inventory slots set up anywhere. I need to add it to the character. So here I just want to add add a new attribute called inventory slots to the character object. And we're going to make it a I think we're just going to do a small dictionary And we're going to have a key called max slots. And we'll initialize that as 0. And a key called occupied slots, I guess. That seems appropriate. 0. And that should initialize it whenever a character is created. And then so somewhere here, I'm spawning this bag, but I'm equipping it and skipping all of the current logic that I'm writing. And in the logic that I'm writing, I want to put somewhere that we should probably just handle the bag stuff first. If item.tags.has inventory container. I think that's what I wrote here for the objects. Yeah, tags inventory container. I don't think I need to specify the category if I don't want to.
One way to find out.
Yeah, I could just leave it out and just see what happens. I don't feel like looking up on the wiki to see whether if I need to add it. Okay, what was I doing? I need to save this. And I need to close it off, actually. Almost forgot about that. Okay. Back to the command. We want to see if it has the tag inventory container. And then equipment dictionary, bring that up, and we want to get inventory container. Writing the logic here for the inventory container. Oh, I named it bag. And here I named it inventory bag. I'm just all over the place, aren't I? Inventory container, bag, inventory bag. Like I need to. Well, the inventory bag was specifically because it was a bag. Bag is so much more simpler, but I didn't want to confuse myself because a bag doesn't have to be used as an inventory container, I guess. Maybe here we'll just change it. Just to be consistent. And go back to the command. So now that should get that properly. And let's see, inventory container slot. So now we have what's there. If inventory container slot equal to none, which it never should be, because when the character is first created, it should always have at least some kind of basic inventory bag, and we'll just equip it anyways. So equip dictionary will be inventory container equals item, and you know what? I think instead of doing this none, we can just, we want to add this logic down to the bottom after we've made all of our conditional checks. So if it's not none, that's what we want to do. Then we want to basically remove a current, well, first of all, actually, we want to check if the max inventory slots on new object is greater than inventory slots of current object. If not, then return with an error that you already have a better bag. Okay. So then, and then we want to do if the max inventory slots is equal to or greater than, then we equip the, or wait, we got to remove the old bag and add the new one. Now, the other thing that I need to do is, since I'm storing the equipment objects in the equipment themselves, in the inventory itself, we don't want it listed. If somebody types inventory, it shouldn't show up in the inventory because it's going to show up if you type equipment. And that's the only place that we want it listed. We don't want it listed twice because we don't want to confuse people about what's in their inventory and what's currently equipped. So somewhere within here, we also have to probably in the inventory command, we probably have to hide and unhide things that are currently equipped. So this is something I might want to do a little bit later, but it will be similar to filtering out what's currently in the hands. If not in or, here we go. We could do this really quick. We'll just grab the value of every single equipment slot, put it in equipment items, which should be a list. Should return as a list, I think. No, hold on. What I think I want to do is just declare it as a list first, and then equipment append. I think. No, I need to unpack. I don't remember what values returns as. You know what? We'll just check Python. Python's website will tell us the information. Which is duplicate this tab real quick. Let's see. Values. And we just search that. It should tell us. Built-in method. Jump right there. Return a new view of the dictionary's values. And equality comparison of one dict values. You will always return false. Yeah. So this is the dictionary, just one value. Dictionary values. That's checking. Let me see if this documentation it's referring me to. Okay, so dishes is a dictionary and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 entries in it. They pull the values directly from dishes and assign it just to values. And it looks like they iterate over it, so it must return some list. Keys and values are iterated over the same order. Yeah. But the question is, why do they specify a list here if it's already a list? I think we're just going to assume that it's a list. That's the best bet. And then if we fuck up, then it'll tell us. Okay. All right. I'm jumping all over the place here, but I'm going through the logic that I think that I need to make this happen. Just cut this down to equip items. Just going to get rid of all this and just assume that it's a list. Or in equip items. So as long as it's not in our hands or it's in our equipment, it's going to append it to this items list for use in the inventory when we use the inventory command. And we don't need to do anything else special because as soon as we remove anything from that dictionary, the equipment dictionary, it'll automatically show back up in the inventory for us. So going back down. Oh, actually I need to go back up. Here it is. Alrighty then. Getting back to this logic. So if the inventory container slot is not equal to none, we need to check the max inventory slots. And for this, we will do we already know the item is a container, so it should have an attribute that determines its max inventory slots. And we need to add that here. For now, we're just going to I think I'm just going to short it down to max slots. Elsewhere, did I already write something elsewhere? I don't remember. I think just in here I was writing. Eventually what we want to do is generate the inventory slots on the item through the prototyping, but for now we're just going to give a default slot. So that will be Oh yeah, that's right. Under characters is where I added it. Why didn't you remember that? Why didn't you remind me?
Oh my bad, I'm getting spammed right now.
Spammed what? On Discord.
Group chat. Yeah.
So you're not even paying attention to all the work I'm doing.
I
Um,
was I was there like 2 minutes ago. I got distracted.
don't worry. I'm distracting myself. I'm jumping all over the place. If anybody can actually follow what's going on, then more power to you. I'm surprised that I'm even able to follow what the hell I'm doing when I'm doing it. This is just all in my head, which is this is such bad method of coding, by the way. You should never do this much effort in your head logically without testing anything. But I people say that you should just like add small little things and then test it, but how much is required before you actually do have to test it? That's the question. Because in my opinion, I can't test it until I have the conditions written. I don't know. Whatever. Inventory slots. So I just want to max slots, occupied slots. I think we'll make the max slots for the inventory container we'll just make it, you know what, we'll just make it really high for right now. Just so that I don't start starving for inventory space while I'm testing. And we'll just make it 50. And so any new inventory that container that spawns will have max of slots of 50. Then we go back to the command. Probably just do if the item. I did that wrong. I think I just do that. Is less than. What was I writing here? So this is saying if the slot is not empty, that means we have something in there. And we want to get the current inventory container. And we want to check if the item we want to equip, if the max slots is less than current inventory, save inventory container. There we go. .db.max slots. Then we want to color.message. You're currently equipped container is better than whatever this item is. So we want to do, definitely going to do an F string here. Item dot get display name, I think. If I recall correctly, change it to F string. And then finish this off. And then we return. Exit out. I'm going to double check on this display name thing. I know that I have it written somewhere else. So I will look at probably build skill string. Let's see. Dot name. You know, it's not there. I am going to check Evennia's stuff. Get display name. I think that's the name of the function. Yes, it is. That's like a viewer aware version of name. Here I probably shouldn't be just using just name, but something that I'll have to deal with in the future. Okay, so we got that out of the way. It's actually try to move this up. Oh, there we go. Alt, up arrow. Greater than or equal to what I've currently got equipped. I'd probably just do an else. Don't need all this. All right, so And then all we have to do is just override it with a new item here. Are you still busy, Legion?
No, I'm watching.
Okay. So here we know that there's an item in the inventory. There's already an inventory container because it's not equal to none. And we also know that we do a check here to make sure to check and see if there's already something else that's better equipped for inventory slots. And we know that if that didn't get executed, then we know for certain that this is a better item than what we're currently wearing. And there's no need to do anything to actually remove the other item. Instead, we just override it because the value can only hold one value at a time, so this just overrides it. And yeah. We'll just remove that. We don't need that. Oh, I already wrote that here. Ooh, look at that. Oops. Okie dokie. So now that we've equipped this new item, what we need to do is actually collar dot db dot inventory slots, I think is what I named it. Let's go back to characters again. Inventory slots, yes. And we need to assign the max slots for characters attributes equals the items max slots. Voila. And now we should have that. One of the things I need to do is in the equipment handler, when I equip the new basic bag, after I've added this, I then need to owner.attributes or .db dot I just need to do the same thing that I did over here in the command, except for it's not collar. Copy and paste that. Inventory slots max slots equals item, and instead of item, it would just be basic bag. And we don't want any of this to execute unless we are certain that the bag has been created. So we're just going to move all that underneath the if statement for the basic bag. And we're just going to do, yeah, that should be fine. We're going to save that. And now, whenever the character is created, it's going to create and assign the equipment dictionary and change the inventory slots to be the max inventory slots for the bag that we generated and added. But the question is here, do we already have inventory slots added? Because remember, Look at this. We're generating the equipment before we added the attribute of inventory slots in the object creation. So this is a bad thing. It's not going to know what I'm talking about when I say inventory slots. So we will actually add that first before we get to generate equipment. Save that. Save command. What isn't saved? Prototypes. I don't remember what I did here. Probably deleted the server log that I had down there. Okay, so in this command, we don't need to worry about finishing the chest logic for right now, and we can remove the pass on this command class. Save. We need to finish the logic for where the bag resides, and then we can actually test this. I think instead of just testing the command first, since in the object creation we added the inventory slots and we added max slots to generate equipment, we're going to go back to our test command and we're going to expand it a little bit. And we're going to, I might just, this would be better. Caller. We're just going to message the caller for this stuff instead of printing it to the server log. We don't need that. And the command isn't really disabled right now, so we're just going to control question mark button. So basically as if you were writing a question mark and it'll automatically comment the line for you. And then we can, this right here, we can caller.message. And you want to add a F string here. This is the bag we have equipped. And I'm going to do the same thing here. This is the characters, the test character. Current equipment. We'll just throw some stuff in there. And whenever you delete something in Evennia, it returns true or false about whether or not it was deleted successfully, I believe. I do believe. And so we're going to actually caller.message. So I'm missing something up here. Yeah. Got to close that off in this as well. If success. Caller.message. Character was successfully deleted. Alright, let's see. So the other thing that I wanted to do was max slots, bag max slots, and character max slots. Wanted to assign two variables here. Oops. Care.db. Inventory slots, and then we do max slots. And then we want to print that. Well, I'll let that message it. Save all of that. Okay. Let's at least test to see if our max slots are working based on our character generation and equipment generation. So for that, we're going to bring up Mudlet again. And reload. Oh. Wow. Uh-huh. Probably don't need double N here, is what it's yelling at me about. So we're going to jump back to the code. And in equipment. Oh no, I think that was an inventory that I made that change. Oops. Okay, so not in here or not in there. Save that. I think I might have to reload from command prompt. Because usually when it says that it falls back on the default command set, tends to have issues with using the reload command within the game. Now we're going to do our test. What? What? Son of a bitch. Elif. Did I write that incorrectly? Expected an indented block. What did I do? What did I do? Line 287. I think it's clearly an equip. There, it's yelling at me right here. Oh. Oh, that's because I didn't finish any of this logic, so it's yelling at me. You know what? We're just going to... No. Control... question mark. We're just gonna comment all that junk out for right now. We don't need to worry about it. And then... try to reload. Uh-oh. Now it's giving us another one. This is the test character's current equipment. A pristine black bag. It's kind of badass. I like that. Pristine black bag. This is all just for like random testing stuff, and we created something awesome. This is the bag we have equipped. None. Oh, fuck. Inventory container. Wonder if I must be doing something wrong. Traceback, command handler, command line 132 in function. Bag, max slots equals none type object. Okay, it's throwing that error because the object has no attribute. Let's just going to go back to Visual Studio Code. This is yelling at me right here. Inventory container slot. Oh. This is why I had this actually above and outside. Duh. Okay. So that logic is fixed, but I also need to put this stuff further up. The other error I was getting was, let's see, it was the assignment command 130, line 132. In my test 32. Oh, I was still trying to get the bag from the old dictionary. And should save that. And now we should be making progress. Reload. Uh-oh. I spelled that incorrectly too. I should have put a period between DB and inventory slots. So I'll just fix that real quick. Save it. Reload. Woohoo! Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? There's no errors and it just gives me a bunch of stuff. Look, and it even says the bag's max slots is 50, the character's max inventory slots is 50, and the character was successfully deleted.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Wow, wow, whoa, whoa. Great success. Very nice.
All right, now let's just make it usable.
Make it usable.
Yeah, be able to put like apples and stuff in there. Or did you already do that? Because you already had stuff done on it.
The character's inventory exists. It just doesn't have information on how many slots exist. But the inventory already exists. It already works. All I need to do is just set a limit. I need to go back in time. No, what I need to do really is just not even here in the inventory, but I need to go back and mess with like my get command, which I need to fix all this anyways because I have two different commands. One's take and one's get, and they're kind of messed up. The take from command is for taking from a container specifically, and get is just to get anything else that isn't in a container. And I've noticed that I have some errors with using those sometimes. I need to fix all that. But the logic for inventory slots needs to be injected elsewhere and anywhere that I need to manipulate items coming and going from my inventory, which is a great deal more than I feel like doing right now. We haven't tested whether or not the actual equipment command works. Did I do this correctly? Where else did I actually raise this? Oh, yeah, I guess it always just shows that it's not. Evennia sometimes does things that normal Python IDEs like this don't understand why I'm doing it, so it's yelling at me. Just like here it's saying inheriting base command, which is not a class. That's only because it doesn't know that base command is coming from a different folder. And that's why it can't find it, because it's coming from the Evennia folder. I'm importing it from there, and Evennia knows how to handle that import, but Python doesn't. So whatever. Anyways, so as far as actually equipping the item, if I wanted to test the command right now, I probably could with just a regular inventory container like a bag, but I need to make sure that it's already in my inventory so I don't equip something that's still on the ground, you know? That wouldn't be that good of an idea, because I haven't written any of the logic about where it's located yet.
That makes sense.
But I think we're going to stop here. I know it seems a little bit of a cliffhanger. This logic should work, considering that we already tested that it works in the character creation. And we know that a bag successfully tells us that it has max slots and that we can get the character's inventory slots, max slots, and we can get both of those values, which means that these comparisons should work. This logic isn't really that difficult. It's pretty straightforward. And so yeah, there's still a lot more to be done as far as handling different conditions for locations, and then I have to go back through and start working on the different objects themselves, and maybe this will be something that I stream tomorrow or sometime in the near future. Streaming thing is actually pretty nice because it's forcing me to actually do this, and I haven't touched this project in a month, and streaming it was a really good idea, even though it was clunky to begin with. I got a lot done. I got some stuff done. I got back into it at least. I might not have.
Pressure you a little.
Huh?
I'll peer pressure you a little bit.
Peer
Like you gotta
pressure.
work on it.
Well, I'm kind of a sucker for helping other people. So when you're telling me that like it helps you, that my project is actually going somewhere and that you're learning from it and you're using the information and that videos like this help you out when it comes to understanding and learning, it actually does encourage me to do stuff that I normally would just be able to procrastinate. If I'm just on my own, it's so much easier to just not do something because I'm not obligated to anybody. But it's, I like helping out other people. So it gives me incentive that it means something more than, that it means something to somebody else as well. So
Oh yeah, it's definitely helpful. Like I pretty much reference your GitHub and the documentation. Like that's how I'm learning it.
you keep saying that, but I don't feel like I even have that much stuff created in my code. Like I'm not that far along. Like there's still so much more stuff to do in my project. I don't know how you're using my project that much to reference it, but I guess just for basic stuff, a lot of the basic stuff that I do overall in the project, I guess it does help. I tried to My project is really just like the dummies implementation of Evennia, like the most basic, straightforward logic that you can get from Evennia. I don't know a bunch of advanced Python or advanced Django or anything else like that. So my stuff, if I can write it, then other people entering into this could write it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what's most helpful for me at least is that like I can kind of see like, oh, you did this in character generation and I can like apply it elsewhere. So like cuz it's all pretty much the same thing. It's just new ways of doing what you just did.
Yeah, that's how I got anywhere on this project. Is that most of it is just me repeating stuff that I already learned before and maybe slightly tweaking it, making mistakes, having errors come up, and learning that there's another way that I can handle it, or there's like a better way, or there's some slight differentiation, or even learning some slightly new thing that I could do that I didn't know before. And you just keep building on that. It's about having momentum, and you have to use that information and knowledge consistently or you're going to lose it. You can see how clunky and lost I was, even some of the most basic things, coming back after a month of not doing anything. And that's just more reason to not stop working on the project at all, because you just lose that. And but over time you'll continue to build it. You just have to put yourself in the situations like I did today, where I'm building something that didn't exist and I'm testing it. I'm finding out things work, and um, I just reference some other stuff. But the best way to learn is to just get in there and just start creating stuff of your own with even the most basic logic.
Makes sense, yeah.
All right, we're gonna end this stream, and that'll be that. And yeah, I'll port this over to YouTube and see if anybody else finds it useful. Probably not, but 2 hours, that's pretty good.